It is Monday. It is 1 p.m. It is time for the Monday message, guys. So excited to chat with everybody today. We just had a killer boot camp on Saturday. First of all, seeing new people, seeing sharp new people, wanting to make some moves, wanting to do some things, man, that just like, if that doesn't give you energy, I don't know what to do for you. You know what I'm saying? And then like some of the training was stuff it was the best I've ever seen. Like Aaron Wilson taught how she goes into houses where they already have a final expense policy, a whole life policy in place. And if it's a garbage policy, she showed how to fix it, how to replace it. If it's a decent policy, she showed how to do reduced paid up, add more coverage to them to give them more coverage than they had for right around the same money or just a little bit more. So I know Josh was like, dude, I left money on the table not knowing that. And then that's the thing with any training. When you don't attend to training, you always leave money on the table. I was texting with a guy and he was like, I don't think I'm going to come to convention. I don't think it's worth the money. And I was like, you're going to pay for it one way or the other. Does that make sense? Like either you pay for it to get there or you pay for it with your life, right? Because it's going to take you that long to learn that. You know, if Josh hadn't have been there, he wouldn't have known that. He would have eventually figured out because he's a smart guy. But all that life that would go by in between, whew, that's expensive. So crazy good training. Mike Guerra lit it up. We got some people getting ready to make some big moves. We are going to have another boot camp directly between, as close as we can, thread the needle exactly between View from the Edge and Family Reunion. That way, we've got an event to get new people, get them writing, get them closing, and get them excited. All right, let's get into our leaderboards. Excuse me. All right, weekly submitted. We've got Nathan, Kath. She was. Oh, I think she's gonna do some big things. Rogers and Kim, Cleo, Barrett, the Martins, Jennifer, Ricardo, Ashley. I put in an app last week. David Helgeson, Mark Hutchison, Janet, Aaron. I'm telling you, what she taught and the way she taught it was so good. It was just like this is exactly what you do. I'm gonna try to get her on as a guest in the very near future on this call to do that training again because it was that good. Andre, it was awesome spending time with Andre at the boot camp. Sharp, motivated, ready to kill it. Let's look at our top 5 from last week. And again, remember, we don't get good submitted numbers from the carriers. So if you're not submitting your production every Friday on Discord, we chances are we won't see it. We always see it on issue pay, but we just don't see it on the front. I'm being told in the studio, Nathan and Kath add to our streak of getting people going in the base shop here. We're 14 for 14 with the way we're doing things. I'm just telling you, if you're curious, hit me up. But we are 14 for 14. The last 14 people we have gotten on the phone, we have gotten, they have written business. I'm just telling you, we've got some stuff figured out. I promise you. So if you're curious, hit me up. All right, let's look at some top producers from last week. We got Edward coming in $9,107.81. Mercedes over 20,000 last week, 9,200 this week. Those IUL leads are killing it. If you don't know about the IUL leads, I apologize that you live in a cave and haven't heard about it. We will get you into a better living situation soon. I'm just telling you, everybody's talking about it. The IUL leads. I'm gonna pull the trigger and start getting some because it's like I feel like I'm getting left out. Everybody's so excited about it. It's like I feel like I'm the only kid without that toy. So I'm gonna jump in and get some of those. Jeremico here at the boot camp and wrote 13 applications, $11,437. He had 6 people on his team here. He's got some people that are going to make some moves, I'm telling you. I can't wait to be in Detroit next Monday with you, Jeremico. Nick Greco, look at this. 6 applications, $22,349.55. If you haven't figured out IULs, you are leaving money on the table. If you need more help on IULs, hit me up. I'll spend some time on the phone with you. We'll find some time. Number 1 last week, and this is massive, massive week. And this is, by the way, this is going to start to be a regular occurrence all across the alliance with the IUL leads, with the annuity, with the trust and estate planning seminars we're doing. I can't wait to be there on Friday. Holly's coming with me. I know Sabrina's going to be there. Mimi's going to be there. Kath is going to be there. One of the new She's like, I'm just trying to get as much as I can. I was like, I like it. I like aggressive people. But we're going to start seeing numbers like this pop. I'm just telling you. Adam and Cindy Burge, $127,483.20 in one calendar week. Now I'm going to have Adam on in a second. We'll guesstimate commissions. My guess is that Adam already has figured that out. but the amount of commissions to come in 1 week from that is going to blow your mind. All right, let's go next slide. Top 5 weekly page. Oh, no wonder Aaron and Gary were in such good moods while they were here. Number 5 paycheck. This is money deposited last week. Remember, we get paid Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So between Monday, Wednesday, Friday last week, these are top 5 paychecks. Nick Greco deposited $6,597.35. Mark Hutchison deposited $6,872.92. Jeremico, group at the boot camp, big paycheck. That equals a pretty fun weekend. $6,913.46. Mike Guerra, $7,344.65. But he did lose $10 to Barrett at golf, so we do need to lower that figure just $10 just to be accurate. Dude, I love playing golf with Mike Guerra. I love people that got that fire. That was just fun 4 hours. Number 1 paycheck. She was here teaching at the boot camp. What she taught absolutely put extra money in the pocket of every single person that was there if they just paid attention to it. And she deposited $7,683.22 last week alone. Way to go, Aaron Wilson. I love it. Recruiting last week, the base shop, Adam and Cindy Burge putting in people. Cabo leaderboards, you see Helgeson still leading the way. Here's the thing. You come to View from the Edge. And I don't know if we've announced the exact bonus point total for brand new people for their first event, but you will get a giant amount of bonus points. And Cabo is going to be... Holly, how many times have we been to Cabo? I can't even remember. It's a lot. It's awesome. It's breathtaking. And we're going to pay for you and your guests, airfare, hotel, drinks, food, everything. I mean, all you got to do is get yourself to the airport, and then everything else, we got you, and it's going to be fun. All right, next slide. My travel schedule takes off again next week, March 18, next Monday evening. I'll be in Detroit, Michigan with that crew. They said they're going to pack that thing out when they were leaving. They're like, we're going to pack out next Monday. I'm like, I am looking forward to it. March 19th, I'll be in Salt Lake City, Utah, with Matt Albrechtson and that crew. Then the 20th, I'll be in Atlanta, Georgia with Adam Burge. April 4th, I'm going to be in Fort Lauderdale, Florida with Mercedes and the Powells, Dory and Reggie Powell. They're continuing to recruit. I get a text from Dory Powell at least 3 times a week. Hey, can you jump on a quick Zoom? I got somebody. Here's all their credentials. Here's what they're about. Here's what they've done. So I'm looking forward to Fort Lauderdale. And I personally want to get around Mercedes with her energy on these Spanish leads. She was so fired up on the call yesterday. I was like, that is what excitement looks like. All right, then April 22, I'll be back in Detroit. I'm betting on the Detroit crew. All right, I'll be in Salt Lake City again on April 23rd, Atlanta, Georgia on the 24th. And is that an official date?
Yes.
Okay, so never mind. We got the official date, June 1st, boot camp here at the office. We are going to bring in talent to teach. I want you here, and we are going to get you so far ahead of the learning curve, And everybody you recruit between now and then, we got to get them there. We got to get them there. All right. View from the Edge, April 12th through the 14th. Here's the thing. I've got brand new people that haven't even sold yet committed to that. Those are people that win. Does that make sense? Like, people that don't win at stuff in life are always half-measure people. They always want to do just a little bit and see. I don't know. People that win, they look at, oh, well, there's proof of concept. Look at all these people winning, so I'm just going to do it. Does that make sense? Like, that's the people that win. That's the people that win. That's why if you hear certain names that I'm betting on, that's just because I know the pattern, right? I know the pattern. It's not hard to figure out. All right. I think that's it for our information. All right. I want to hear from our guest. So I'm gonna bring him on, and then I'm gonna mute out and listen in. Adam Burge had a massive week last week. And here's what's crazy. He had a massive week last week, and he hasn't even done his first estate planning seminar yet. So he's continuing to write large amounts of business. He had a big week last week as well. And he's getting ready to do estate planning seminars, which the estate planning seminars, I don't know that I can get you in, but the training is next Friday, the 22nd. For the initial group. If there's a spot available, I will get it for you, or I'll try and talk TRA into letting me break the rules. to get you there. But that's going to open up even more because Bell and Jake Krause are doing it. They discovered 19 million in assets with their first seminar. They sold 20 something trusts. And by the way, Adam, did I tell you this yet? The trusts, we just got a bumping commission on them.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Extra, basically 20% bumping commission on the trusts. So, man, hey, come on. I want to hear everything about last week. I know you told me, but God, I want to hear it again.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a good comedy bit or a good movie. I could say I want to hear it again and again, but I want everybody else to hear it. And I know you got some good stuff for the crew that they can write down and start implementing to find money. Because if you're not finding safe money, I promise you, it's not because you're unfortunate. It's not because the elements have conspired against you. It's nothing like that. You're just not asking enough, or you're not asking in the right way, or just intimidated by the whole thing. I get it. I get it. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna make it real simple for you. If you can fill out a deposit slip, you can write an annuity, because all that an annuity is a deposit account with an insurance company. Now, the paperwork's a little more complicated than an actual deposit slip, but that's really all you're doing. That's all you're doing. So Burge, come on, man, light us up. I want to hear about the week. I want them to hear about the week, and then whatever you got for us, brother, that will help more people find more money. I just light us up, man.
Sure.
I'm gonna mute out, take some notes.
Well, it all starts, I think, Stephen, everyone, with just attending the events. I think back to my very first event. I got a call from my friend Stephen, and he said to Stephen Davies, and he says, "Adam, come to the event. You're going to be happy you did. It's going to be some training. It'll be money well spent. If you're not happy, if you don't feel like you've learned anything, on Sunday night, come and tell me, and I'll give you all your money back." And I thought, well, I can't pass that deal up. And I trusted that Stephen knew what he was talking about too. I knew that he said it would be educational and that it would be educational. And so I went to my first event, and a lot of things stood out that weekend. It was a family reunion, in fact. And a lot of things stood out to me that weekend, but what really stood out to me was something Belle Krause said. She said, when you're first starting out, it's going to feel intimidating. You may feel like you've got to know everything. And unless you know everything, that you can't sell life insurance, you can't sell annuities. But she said that's not true. Just learn as you go along. Just let the ink and the paper fly, is what she said. She said you're going to make mistakes. Even after doing this for years, you're going to make some mistakes on the paperwork. But what's great is the carriers will point it out to you, and you can get it corrected very easily. It's not like it's going to create any real problems for you if you overlook something, or you don't know how to do something properly on the form. And she was right. I just decided, okay, I was allowing myself to get into analysis paralysis. And I took her advice, and I just started selling that weekend. So I started with Stephen. I asked him, how do you introduce annuities? I was trying to find some way to do that in the present, or in the in-home presentation that would help me transition from life insurance to annuities. And he gave me some great advice, and I use it to this day. I use it all the time. In fact, whenever I use it, I often think of Stephen. He comes to mind. He said, I ask people just a simple question, two simple questions. Where do you work? How long have you been there? Where do you work? How long have you been there? And he said, ask that question while you're filling out the application, because you're going to have some time in there, right? When you're filling out paperwork and you want to make some small talk. And that small talk will help you find money that's out there that you didn't know that was available to you. So I asked him, where do you work at? I work at the Ford plant. Oh, okay, how long have you been there? 2 years. Oh, where did you work before that? I worked at the Chevy plant. Oh, okay, how long did you work there? 10 years. Where did you work at before that? Oh, I worked at the Toyota dealership. How long did you work there? 5 years. Where did you work before that? See, you just keep going back. And what you're doing is you're getting their employment history. And if you're dealing with someone who was, a semi-professional, for example, they're going to have 401ks that are probably at all these various previous employers, and they're going to be just sitting there doing nothing. In fact, a lot of people tell me that their 401k or their IRA hasn't been growing at all. There's been no growth, or it's been stagnant growth. And they didn't know what to do about it. They don't have a financial advisor. They don't have anybody to turn to. They don't know who to talk to, who to even ask. And so when people tell me that history after I finish with the application, I simply say, you probably have some 401ks there, don't you, that have been just kind of sitting there, and have you thought about what to do with them to make them work for you better? Are you happy with the way they're working for you? Are you happy with the results? See, ask questions like that. They kind of help them express themselves and what it is they're thinking and feeling about these retirement accounts. And then you're finding their pain points, the things that concern them, the things that bother them, frustrate them. And I tell them, you know what, you would actually benefit from a meeting with a very good friend of mine. His name is Chris Norris. I call him the Chuck Norris of finance. He's a financial advisor, has been a financial advisor for many years. He's a very hard worker, very intelligent, very capable, and he gives my friends really good advice. In fact, he actually manages my money. Let's get you on the calendar with him, and we can ask him some questions, and he can give you some advice and some ideas of what to do with the monies that you have. And so I literally right there on my tablet will pull up Chris Norris's schedule. I keep it saved in my bar, my search bar, or my favorite bar that is in the top of my browser. Chris Norris calendar. Click on that, open his calendar up. I find a time that's convenient for the client. I book that time with Chris. And then after I do that, I tell them, okay, here are some things that we'll need in order to make that conversation most productive. Chris will be happy to spend time with you, but he's a very busy man. And there are a lot of people who want to talk to him. And so I want to make sure that I'm utilizing his time wisely, that I'm not making him feel like I'm just wasting his time, because he's a friend of mine and I don't want to do that to him. We need your statements from all the accounts that you have that have, your retirement monies, savings, whatever the case. I don't want the account numbers. You can cross those off with a black marker if you want to. I don't need any of that. I just need to know what those accounts are for, what makes up those accounts, and I need to give that information to Chris so he can give you some sound advice based on facts and not speculation. Does that make sense? And people are like, well, of course it does. So I tell them, let's get your statements together real quick. I take pictures of them with my cell phone. I scan the documents and I email those over to Chris, so he has those before the appointment. And then I come back to the client's house at the day and time of the appointment, and I get there a few minutes early. I want to make sure I have good internet connection. I want to make sure that I have everything that Chris needs for the appointment. I want to make sure my camera, everything's working, and I'm ready to go. So that way when Chris comes on, or when he calls me, whatever the case, we're ready to go, because we've got about 20 minutes there. And we want to use those 20 minutes wisely. We want to make sure we maximize that time. So I get there early, a few minutes early, to make sure all that is set up in advance. And then I just simply introduce Chris and the client, and I just explain simply what it is we need to do, what the situation is, and what kind of help they're looking for. And Chris will make some great suggestions. What I appreciate about Chris is very respectful of other people's money. He's very he's interested in providing growth, but he's also conservative or moderate, that is, in his approach. He will put together very, very good ideas, recommendations that will produce significant growth for a client in the most conservative or risk-averse ways possible. I really appreciate that about Chris. He's not a high-pressure salesman either, and people appreciate that about him too. After I've done that now for some years, I find that I can duplicate what it is Chris does often when it comes to rollovers. And so there are times I will call him, but I've learned enough now where I just simply, do most of them, if not all of them, on my own. When there are times I have questions, I call Chris and he's happy to help. Always. Never a problem with Chris. But I've just learned over the years that it's not really all that hard to just inquire and get a feel for what a person's situation is and what their pain points are, what concerns them, what needs to be addressed, and then find solutions, recommendations I can make based on the answers to their questions. I will often have with me on the appointment a illustration I've created on F&G's illustration website page. And I'll just put a fictitious, name in there so that I'm not breaching my client's confidentiality, of course. But with a typical amount of money, I find $50,000 pretty commonly is available to me to roll over. And so I'll put an illustration of each of those in my bag. And I'll just show folks, an illustration, example of an illustration, so they get a better feel for, how annuities work. I like to simply explain to them, okay, on this page, this shows the historical performance, this shows the illustrated rate. I explain what all those means, all those columns, what they mean on an illustration. I learned all that from talking with F&G. Really, I mean, when you call sales support, they are very happy to answer any questions you have and take the time necessary to help you. If you're not sure which annuity to write with them, again, sales support does an excellent job of answering all your questions and giving them guidance. So when I wrote those, the 1.2 million in annuities last week, I wanted to make sure I was setting my client up with the best annuity, with the best index crediting options. And so I called Larry Malik. I also spoke with the person he recommended at F&G that was very well informed and would give me good advice, and we'd be able to talk it out. He'd be patient with me and take time. And sure enough, he did. And we had a great conversation. I called him a few times last week, and we got it all taken care of. And it was very, very seamless. Very, very seamless, very easy. After we did that, I then called the companies with the client on the phone that he had the 401ks with, and we initiated a rollover, and they said, we'll have a check out to you guys in 2 to 3 weeks. Boom, 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 the ducks all, or everything falls into place very, very quickly, very easily. And that'll be a nice payday. 1.2 million annuities, and I actually got another $20,000 annuity this morning. And the money is already in my hand for that too. And the $50,000 annuity I'll be doing later on this week. So it's getting to the point by just asking some questions and getting comfortable with it. If you project confidence and enthusiasm, those things are contagious, and people will feel comfortable talking with you and answering questions. But it's not going to get to that point if you don't start, if you don't try. Are you going to make some mistakes? Sure. Yeah, it could happen. Can they be fixed? Absolutely. Easily. It's not that difficult. It's not that big of a deal. You can fix things. And more importantly, you're helping the client. See, that's what it's all about. You want to help the client. You want to put them in a better position, having met you than they were before. And annuities are a wonderful tool. My family has annuities. I have annuities. They're a wonderful tool to make sure you're protecting your assets and you're getting growth. So that way that money is there in the future when you need it. So these annuities are wonderful things. Just asking some questions can be a big help. There are 2 books I really encourage everyone to read that the Alliance puts out, and I'll kind of wrap up with this, Stephen. 2 books, 2 very, very important books. Save Smarter, Not Harder, and Save Money. Those 2 books, they're thin paperback books, and they're full of information. You can go back and reread it and flip through pages to find things that you need that will help you in caring for a client's situation. I recommend those books to everyone. Those books, along with Stephen and Chris Norris, have been huge assets to me in writing more annuities, and I use those tools often.
So, Adam, just out of curiosity, you got a roundabout idea what that week means commission-wise? Finding those 401ks?
I don't know. I think it's probably around 70 grand. I don't know.
That was my guess, probably around 70 grand. We can figure it out, but you do this long enough, you can kind of guesstimate stuff. That's an insane boost for a week. Now here's what I want to tell you. He didn't get that this past week because all of a sudden the winds shifted and his fortunes changed. He got that this week, and there was something very key in what you said, Adam. I want to make sure they heard. He got that this week because he's written a ton of $30,000 and $50,000 annuities along the way. And here's why. Because he's in the habit of asking the same questions and having the same conversation about their work history. And if you think those questions don't work, I'm telling you, you start asking those questions and you will start writing annuities. You will absolutely start writing annuities. And what you're saying about the product, Adam, that's dead on. I mean, think about all these folks that have these 401ks sitting out here that are at complete market risk, right? They haven't worked there for a while. They haven't worked there for a while. It's just sitting there at market risk.
Mhm.
And I mean, ones I found them, I've heard the same things you hear. It's like, yeah, I mean, I get a statement for it. I know I've lost money on it, and it's like, gotcha. I can
Yeah.
help you,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
I loved the way you phrased that on getting the statements, right? Write this down: casually presented, casually received. Because he doesn't get weird when he's asking for the statement, he gets lots of statements.
Mhm.
And I wrote it down. The way you said it was, we use the does that make sense magic phrase. That unlocks all the doors all the time, always. It's like physically hard to hold your head still when someone says, does that make sense? But maybe you could go back to this. I have it written down as I don't want to waste Chris's time. He's a friend of mine, and so we need to get your statements. It was something that, I mean, it was along those lines, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, and I tell them I don't want the account numbers. I don't need those. You can block those out if you want to, but I need the account number. I need the statements because we need to know what kinds of vehicles those monies are sitting in, so Chris can give you sound advice. Sometimes I use the analogy with folks. A doctor prescribing medication without conducting a physical is medical malpractice. And we would never want to do such a thing when it comes to your retirement funds. The way to prevent that is to make sure that Chris has all the information necessary and those statements contain that information. They're vital.
So this and Adam knows he's doing this because he's very smart. What that is called schema stretch, meaning you use a familiar schema to people and then you stretch it to new information. Everybody knows the doctor's office scenario. Everybody understands that. So when you use a well-known schema like that, then you stretch it to the new concept you need them to embrace, which is send me the statements. It makes it 1,000 times easier to get statements. And when you use the word medical malpractice, that's a word that makes everybody uncomfortable. So if you don't send the statements, that's the same thing as medical malpractice. And you say people don't think like that. They don't consciously think like that. I just know that that's how everybody's brains work. That's why I always teach positive association in selling, right? I want to find out what they love and I want me associated with that because they'll instantly elevate what they think about me. I'll instantly become smarter in their eyes because I like things they like and I feel like stuff they like. So that schema stretch, that's a go-to strategy when you're trying to get people to do something. Use a schema they're already familiar with, already bought in on, stretch it to the new concept you need them to embrace, and then use a negative tie-in to what you don't want them to do, which is not give you the statements. That's brilliant, Adam. When it comes to the job thing, once you ask that question, what's the ease of talk at that point? I mean, how does that conversation feel? I might be throwing you a curveball here.
No, I understand what you're saying. It's very casual, and I'm not even saying much. I'm just I'm really doing two things. I'm kind of focusing on the application, which is important, that I'm filling out. We want to take care of the business at hand first, right? But in the back of my mind, I had this other thought going on, and I'm just kind of accumulating the information that they've given me. And when they give me an answer, I may not say anything for a minute or two. And what's good is that kind of lets that hang in the air there. They're thinking about this 401k that they haven't thought about in a while. And I'll keep typing. And then I'll ask them, so where did you work before that? See, and then again, it just hangs there for a minute or two after they give me an answer. And so I find it's a really good way for them to kind of, stop and think about something that they haven't thought about in a long time that actually is something they should be thinking about often.
Yep. I hope everybody felt how soft that felt. Does that make sense? Like, it's not a big, scary conversation. It's no different than every other conversation we have with people. So where'd you work before? Oh, well, how did you like that? They treat you good over there? It's a casual conversation with a definite purpose. That's what he's doing in every single house. He's writing the life insurance policy first. Don't get it sideways, because it confused people do nothing. Right? You start trying to do three different policies all at one time, three different, you're going to confuse them and they're going to freeze. He's writing the life insurance. He's having a conversation, casual conversation with a purpose. And then he's coming back with the schema stretch, getting the statements, booking the appointment. It's got to be a booked appointment. It can't be, well, yeah, no, I'll get those statements to you next week. No, 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 no. We got to have definite scheduled appointments. Chris Norris is the Chuck Norris of finance. I cannot put you on I don't want to waste this time. We got to get this. Brilliant stuff, man. If you'll go back and listen to this, guys, I'm telling you, you will start writing annuities. You should be writing one annuity for every 6 life apps you write. Every 6 apps think there should be an annuity in there somewhere. That's just industry average, by the way. We're better than the industry. Does that make sense? We got more skills. We got more training. We've got, I'm just talking about the general industry average is 1 in 6, one annuity app for every 6 life apps. So I know that on this team, we got people that can get 3 life apps for every 6, or 3 annuities for every 6 apps. I know when we start doing these estate planning seminars, the annuity business is going to be so insane. Yeah. I mean, that Garcia writing 17 million in annuities alone off of 17 million in annuities off of 7 seminars. You got to take what we guesstimated, Burge's commission to be on those annuities he wrote last week and just kind of extrapolate that out to the power of 16, 15 or so. You just do the quick math. Crazy opportunities. We're going to see more crazy numbers like that. Adam, I always appreciate you being someone that gets out front, that is not scared to try things. He was the first person to sign up for the seminars on the team. Was like, I'm in. Here's my $5,000. My seminar scheduled. When is your seminar scheduled, Adam?
April 24th is my first one. Then my second one will be on the 29th. So I'll do 2 on the 24th and then 1 on the 29th. And yeah, I can't wait. The market that I have my first seminar in is red hot. So. And what's nice, it's only 20 minutes from my house. All expressway driving. And I got an office. I took care of that last week. I now have an official office in the market that I'll be working in. So my venue is all set up. It's going to be at the North Cobb Library. Beautiful building, gigantic room. It'll seat 80 people. I expect to have 50 people there for my first one. So yeah, I can't wait. I'm super excited. This is going to be the future for our company. I know it is. There's no question in my mind. No question.
I love it. I love it. If you can get to Burlington, North Carolina next Friday, we're going to kick off at 8 a.m., go to 5 p.m. all day training. There'll be a social Thursday night if you get us Thursday night. I can't promise that I can get you a ticket to the event because I know it is space limited, but I will go to bat for you. I'll try and trick Tia into give me one. I'll figure it out. I'll use all my sales tricks, see if they work. Unfortunately, Tia knows a lot of my tactics because I have to put it in a PowerPoint and send it to her when I do trainings at events. All right. So just a couple quick things closing down. Adam, thank you again, brother. You are awesome. I appreciate you leading the way. I appreciate you giving people belief. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate you breaking it down. A lot of people, when they are successful at something, they try to make it sound more complicated to make themselves appear more grandiose, right? You never do that. You always dial it down, button down, simple. Same deal with Erin's thing. Yeah, you'd love that. It's just button down, simple. And she is going to be guest host next week on this call while I am flying to Detroit. She's going to go through exactly what she went through here at the boot camp. How to use reduce paid up on whole life policies that you find as you're selling and you're doing policy reviews, how to do that with a new policy to give them more coverage for just a little bit more than what they were already paying, and then put a bigger commission in your pocket. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. So if you've ever written a little $5,000 add-on to what they currently have, you're going to want to be on the call next week. If you've ever been to a client's house and they said, we already got whole life policies, we don't need this, you're going to want to be on the call next week. I'm telling you, ton of money to be found there. So guys, Holly and I love you. We want you to win more than you can possibly understand. And we want 2024 to be the best year in the history of your family. So let's stay tight. Let's get after it. I forgot to send out the text, but Base Shop leadership team, let's get over to our Zoom. We got the end of month numbers from last month, so we can keep an eye on our trends and our growth. All right. Love y'all.